Hello, this is Dear, and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft Season Clockwork. We are on Story 8. Yeah, Story 8, and Perspective of Impulse. And we're on Episode 31, Chapter 3. We'll see how many chapters we get through, depending on how much time we have. You know? Because, I don't want a chapter too short, and I don't want to have it too long either. I like to keep it around the 10-minute mark. I don't want to have it under 10 minutes, even though it's fine. But yeah, let's get to it. Shall we? Step this way. A couple of days had passed since his escort had returned to the world after his adventure to who knows where. Impulse was in Pearl's house today, with her and Jem just hanging out while Matthias and the other escorts, or protectors, went out to the meeting hall to talk about matters there. The cause members had thought about letting the hermits come along, but they had decided against it, advising them to stay inside and have a communicator or device nearby to call for help if anything happened. So far, everything seemed to be going rather smoothly. He was sitting alone in the main room, calmly going through some of the books he'd found lying around, using the light from the window to skim over the pages every now and again, if he'd found something worth reading. Anything to distract himself from thinking about what had been going on outside the walls. There wasn't much happening outside either. The tree line was pretty bare and empty, apart from the trees and the bushes that shadowed part of the clearing. The grass was a dull green as the seasons continued to shift. It wasn't necessarily freezing outside, though, for snow, but it wasn't at pleasant temperatures either. Suddenly, he noticed a shadow passing over the trees as a figure disappeared for a moment before appearing again in the window by the front door. Impulse watching in puzzlement as he heard a knock on the door before it opened. As Gran walked in tonight. I thought the cause told us to stay at home, Impulse said matter-of-factly. You know me as the kind of person who follow rules. Gran asked quizzically with a knowing smile. Impulse sighed. I suppose that's a good point. How's it going, though? I haven't seen you in a while, the YouTuber said cheerfully as he walked over to what Impulse was working on. Reading, I see. Kind of, Impulse said with a shrug. Mainly boredom. And trying not to think about the meeting, you know? Yeah. Green nodded his head slowly. You think they'll agree to let your escort go his way, separate ways? He'll find a way to convince them. I just know it. Impulse sighed. He's managed to get me to trust him before. He did seem alright before just disappearing on me. Seems kind of odd, doesn't it? Green pondered. Pearl and Jem thought the same thing. Impulse chuckled. I'm sure we're not the only ones to think that. I get it, Grade replied. I've been backstabbed before, by particular cause members. Right. Impulse agreed. He glanced over at the window for a moment, taking in the silence as his thought came to mind. Why did you come here? It's not just talk to me, is it? I mean, you could. He said with a shrug before he smiled. It's never that simple, Impulse pressed. Where are Jem and Pearl? Green asked, swiftly changing the subject as the YouTuber looked over to the staircase. I don't know. Upstairs? I'd assume so, maybe. Unless they're renovating the secret room, Impulse said thoughtfully. Let's go find them then, Green said happily as he gestured for Impulse to follow. As he stepped towards the stairs, Impulse did so reluctantly as he heard noises from over by the window as the main entrance door opened and Matthias and his escort walked through. Why, hello there, Green, Matthias mused. I thought you were meant to stay at your bases. I was a bit bored. Besides, as you can clearly see, I'm not alone. Green said matter-of-factly, nodding over at Impulse. I see. Impulse's escort replied with a nod. I'm sure your protector will be wondering where you went. You'll find me, I'm sure. Green waved him off. Come on, Impulse. Let's leave these guys to chat while we find the others. Come back over when you do, Matthias replied. I've got some things that need to be discussed. He glanced over at Impulse as he said this, and the YouTuber swallowed. Based on the expression on the escort's face, it wasn't good news. At least next turn, yeah. Will do, Grian said, as he waited for Impulse to catch up, as the two of them went for the stairs, the YouTuber glancing over his shoulder once to see his escort watching him, expression of satisfaction on his face. It didn't take the two YouTubers long to find the others. Jem and Pearl had been working on what they were going to do next around the area to make it more practical and homely, dropping everything immediately when Impulse told them that the two escorts were waiting downstairs. Of course, he hadn't seen Pearl's escort, but he had to assume that he was nearby. The four of them came back down the stairs, meeting back up with the cause members, who were still waiting for them. How did the meeting go? Pearl asked, after the group said their good greetings. It went rather smoothly, Matthias said calmly. Everyone that was there was rather cooperative. That's good, Jim said quickly. So what exactly happened over there? Well, according to our friend here, Matthias said thoughtfully, something had come up back at home, and he needed to go right away to sort it out, and didn't have time to let anyone know what was going on. That's correct, the other man confirmed matter-of-factly. The man had lifted his chin high as his eyes revealed nothing. You know how it is. You're expected to get back to help friends back at home. Why didn't you let the cause know through the communicator? Jim pressed. There wasn't time, the man replied as he narrowed his eyes. I was expected to be there as soon as I could. I assumed Impulse would be fine on his own, and true to that, he was. Could have died many times, Impulse admitted quietly. But you didn't, the man pointed out. It would have been better if you had been there, the YouTuber stated honestly. We don't get to choose what happens to us, or what we're expected to do. We just do it, the man sighed as he shook his head. Case in point, you're still my charge, and I'm still required to protect you. I suggest you get packing and ready to go within the hour. Well, Impulse replied, looking over at his friends. Can I have a little more time? The man shook his head. We need to get back to work. Yeah, but I want to make sure Green can get home safely. Impulse interjected. You can come back with us, the man retorted. We'll drop him off on the way. Okay. Impulse sighed. I'll get my stuff together. Great! I'm glad we're in agreement, the man said excitedly. Now, get to it. The clock's ticking. The YouTuber hesitated for a moment before going back towards the stairs, glancing back to see the others watching him for a moment as he went to climb, barely sure of what he was supposed to feel. He'd expected this. He knew the man would find some sort of excuse to keep him as charge, but why? Why was he so willing to take Green back to his place when he'd refused to go to Beat-Up's place with Tango just a week ago? Something just wasn't adding up. He made it back to his room as he opened the door and stepped inside, going over to the chest as he opened it, rummaging through it until he pulled out a few shulker boxes worth that had been brought over from his place not too long ago. He'd only been packing for a few minutes when he heard the knock on the door, as he heard someone asking if they could come in. He looked back and closed the chest, calling for the visitor to come in. The door opened to reveal Gran, Gem, and Pearl, as they each stepped into the room. Hey guys, Impulse said with a smile as he bucketed away the shulker boxes. You feeling okay? Pearl asked him calmly. This is going to happen, Impulse admitted with a frustrated sigh. Yeah, Green nodded. That's why I came here. And I have an idea that might be useful. You do? Well, that's awfully convenient, Impulse admitted. Yeah. Green chuckled. Anyways, you want to hear it? I mean, a plan is better than no plan, he replied. What's on your mind? It's awfully convenient. Yeah. It kind of makes sense. Basically, all of us can tell he's pretty untrustworthy, especially for you, Green replied. I know a place where they teach young people how to protect people like us, and know someone who might be able to hook us up with someone. That would have been useful information weeks ago, Impulse admitted. Fair, but the thing is, these young people don't have as much experience as Matthias is looking for, or Devin for the matter. Green explained. This is the backup plan, like a backup plan, or a safety net, in case the guy decides to leave you on your own again. That's actually not a bad idea, Jim admitted with a smile. You think they'd be up to do it, though? Of course, Green said confidently as he gestured towards Impulse. Check out the communicator and ask him. Wait, Impulse paused hesitantly as he pulled out the device. I don't think he told us. Oh, Green smiled. Liam? Really? Pearl asked curiously. Yeah. Green admitted as he looked at his feet. I mean, he's helped us many times before. He might not be able to step in to protect Impulse, but I know you could probably find someone a bit more trustworthy than what we have now. Okay. Impulse nodded as he pushed a few buttons that Green directed him to do before sending the signal. It connected almost instantly as Liam's familiar voice came through. Hello? The voice called through the speaker. Hey, Liam. Impulse said simply. Do you have a minute to talk privately? Sure, hang on. Liam replied as the four of them heard faint noises as well as footsteps as the door closed. What's up? Well, I'm having issues with my escort, you see, Impulse admitted as he explained to the boy the situation. It didn't take him long as he'd expected. As silence fell for a moment before adding, I was wondering if you'd be able to help set someone up to keep an eye on me secretly in case something happens. How soon would you like them to come? Liam asked. The sooner the better, Impulse replied, looking up to see the other three nodding. Tomorrow at the latest, if possible. Yeah, I think I can do that. I know someone who might be good, the boy replied with a chuckle. You sure you'll be fine for the night, though? I'm not sure, honestly, Impulse admitted. I'm not very trusting of him right now, after he left me for myself a few nights ago. Right, Liam agreed. I'll see what I can do. Just be careful, alright? I will, don't worry, Impulse replied with a smile, as he wished the boy well before disconnecting. I told you he could help, Green said after a moment of silence. Yeah, Impulse said with relief. Hopefully they can come soon. In the meantime, you and I need to head off, I suppose. I can make my own way back, Green admitted. I don't think he's gonna let that happen. Much less Matthias, Impulse said warily. Makes sense, Green sighed as he shook his head before looking over to the girls. If anything happens, we'll come right back here, okay? Got it, Pearl nodded her head. Plus, you do have your communicators. Impulse nodded as he put his portable communicator back in his pocket. Standing up as he reached for the door was Green not too far ahead, beating him to the stairs as he walked down them quickly. You two were followed suit, hoping the extra caution was just that. Let's continue. Chapter 4. The two of them arrived back at the main room, seeing the man waiting for them by the doorway expectantly. Do you have everything you need? The escort asked matter-of-factly, as the man looked back into the house over their heads before stepping out of the door. Yes, sir, Impulse replied. It wasn't much, anyway. That's good, the escort said with a smile, as Impulse stepped outside, hearing Green right behind him. Follow me? Impulse said nothing as he glanced over at his friend, who nodded encouragingly. So far, nothing seemed too out of the ordinary as they walked into the trees, following a set path as the man led the way. Have you noticed anything on your journey over here when coming back from where you were? Impulse asked curiously. No, not really, the escort replied simply. I was more focused on getting back to your base, only to find people were working on the repairs, and you were nowhere to be seen. I didn't expect that you'd be attacked that night. It's the moment that you let your guard down that he gave you, Impulse said simply, especially when you're at your most vulnerable. That's comforting, Impulse admitted sourly. Not as much if you never give them a chance, Green pointed out. Well, they can still try, the escort chuckled. If they find an opening, they will take it gladly. Impulse nodded, feeling queasy as he glanced over his shoulder back the way they'd come. What were the possibilities of them being followed right now? The group didn't say anything for a long while as they walked towards Green's base, the escort continuing to lead the way, not taking too much time to keep an eye out for surroundings. Do you think we're heading for a trap? Impulse whispered to Green, hoping he was just loud enough for just his friend to hear. Not sure, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt for now, Green whispered back. This is a trap. We can fly and retreat to Gem and Pearls. Got it. Impulse agreed. He looked back to where they were heading. Sure enough, seeing Green's base up ahead. The area surrounding them seemed eerily quiet as the man led them by the clearing as he gestured for the door. Well, this should be where we parked, the man said as he looked at Green's direction. As Impulse looked back towards the trees before he heard what sounded like glass shattering. As Green shouted out in alarm, he looked back just as a man in Mr. A's uniform lunged towards him, dodging him as he grabbed his rockets out of his pockets, watching Green leap into the sky, weaving around any arrow shots that one of the men were attempting to make. Impulse attempted to follow right behind him, but as he jumped, he felt someone grab him from behind. He pulled him back to the ground as he yelped in surprise, feeling the arm grab him as he heard a whisper in his ear. You really think you could get away from me that easily? The familiar whisper taunted in his ear. Impulse struggled against the man's grip as he helplessly watched Green flying away, tempted to call out for him, but knowing it wouldn't be worth it. He felt the man put something over his mouth and nose as he felt the familiar weird sensation. His struggling slowed as he felt his eyes grew heavy as he fell limp into the captain's arms. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm leaving you here. Yeah. Some men are more obvious than others. Oh dear. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you in episode 32. In a way. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.